Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain is a groundbreaking book that explores the importance of introversion and the often overlooked power that introverts bring to society. Cain argues that Western culture, especially in the United States, tends to favor extroverted traits such as gregariousness, assertiveness, and sociability, which leads to introverts being undervalued and misunderstood. She seeks to challenge the common narrative that extroversion is the ideal personality type for success and happiness. Through research, storytelling, and personal anecdotes, Cain highlights how introverts have unique strengths and qualities that are essential for creativity, leadership, and well-being. The book is structured around a mix of scientific research, personal stories, and interviews with experts, providing a well-rounded perspective on the topic of introversion. Cain's goal is to encourage introverts to embrace their nature and for society to better understand and appreciate the quiet strengths that introverts bring to the table. The extrovert ideal. The book begins by describing the extrovert ideal that dominates Western society. Cain explains how, in the last century, society has shifted from a culture that valued character and thoughtfulness to one that prioritizes sociability, talkativeness, and assertiveness. The rise of the culture of personality is particularly noticeable in business and education, where leadership is often associated with being outgoing, charming, and extroverted. Cain draws attention to the fact that this cultural shift has led to the marginalization of introverts, who tend to thrive in quieter, more solitary environments. She contrasts the ideal of the extroverted leader with the more introverted, yet equally effective, forms of leadership that focus on listening, thoughtful decision-making, and the ability to create deep, meaningful connections. Understanding introversion. Cain delves into the psychological and biological factors that contribute to introversion, explaining that introversion and extroversion are not simply about shyness or social anxiety, but about how we respond to stimulation. Introverts tend to be more sensitive to stimulation, which can make socializing in crowded environments draining for them. Extroverts, on the other hand, seek out stimulation and feel energized by social interaction. She explains that introverts often have an internal focus and prefer solitary activities such as reading, writing, or thinking deeply. These activities allow them to recharge and process information at their own pace. Cain also clarifies that introversion is a spectrum, with some people being more introverted and others more extroverted, with many people displaying traits of both. The science of introversion and extroversion. Cain explores the scientific research behind introversion and extroversion, including studies from the fields of psychology, neuroscience, and biology. One of the key points she makes is that introverts and extroverts have different neurological responses to stimuli. Research has shown that introverts have a more active reaction to dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, which is why they can feel overstimulated in busy or social environments. Extroverts, on the other hand, are less sensitive to dopamine and thus seek out social situations to stimulate their reward systems. Cain also explores how these biological differences impact behavior, decision-making, and social interactions. While extroverts may feel more comfortable in group settings and public speaking, introverts often excel in quiet, individual tasks that require concentration and deep thought. Cain emphasizes that these differences are not weaknesses but reflect distinct, valuable ways of engaging with the world. The power of solitude. One of the key themes of quiet is the power of solitude for introverts. Cain discusses how introverts often thrive in environments that allow for deep, focused work, without the distractions of constant social interaction. She highlights how solitude fosters creativity, innovation, and the ability to reflect on complex problems. Many successful introverts, including renowned figures like Albert Einstein and Bill Gates, have made significant contributions to society because of their ability to work alone and focus on their ideas without the distractions of constant interaction. Cain also explores the concept of quiet spaces in society, places where introverts can retreat and recharge. She argues that our schools and workplaces should create environments that accommodate the needs of introverts, such as offering quieter spaces for concentration and giving people time for independent work. By acknowledging the value of solitude and creating spaces where introverts can flourish, Cain believes society can unlock the hidden potential of those who may otherwise be overlooked. Introverts in relationships and parenting. The book explores how introverts navigate relationships, both romantic and familial. Cain highlights how introverts tend to value deep, meaningful connections over superficial small talk and socializing in large groups. In romantic relationships, introverts may prefer quiet, intimate activities rather than large social gatherings. Cain also touches on how introverts often find that their introverted partners understand their need for solitude and quiet time, fostering healthy relationships. Cain also discusses the challenges of raising children in a society that prizes extroverted traits. Many parents of introverted children may be concerned that their child is too shy or withdrawn, but Cain reassures them that introversion is a natural and valuable personality trait. She provides advice for parents on how to nurture and support their introverted children, helping them to thrive in a world that often values extroverted behaviors. Introverts as leaders. One of the most powerful sections of Quiet focuses on introverts as leaders. Cain argues that introverts are often overlooked in leadership positions due to the extrovert ideal that dominates workplaces and organizations. However, introverts possess valuable leadership qualities such as the ability to listen, empower others, and make thoughtful, deliberate decisions. Cain uses the example of Warren Buffett, an introverted business leader, to show how introverts can lead with humility, careful thought, and strategic action. Cain also explores how introverts are often more effective at managing teams and building trust because they prioritize collaboration, seek input from others, and make space for others' voices. Introverted leaders tend to foster environments where employees feel heard and respected, which leads to higher levels of trust and innovation within teams. The extrovert bias in education and work. Cain critiques the extrovert bias that exists in both educational and workplace environments. She points out that schools and workplaces often reward extroverted behavior, such as group work, public speaking, and constant collaboration, while introverts may be penalized for not fitting the mold. She advocates for changes in these systems, arguing that introverts should be allowed to work in environments that cater to their strengths, such as spaces where they can concentrate on independent tasks and where their ideas can be heard without the need for excessive self-promotion. Cain also offers practical tips for introverts to succeed in extroverted environments, including the importance of finding balance, setting boundaries, and cultivating the ability to fake it when necessary. However, she stresses that introverts should not feel pressured to change who they are to fit into a system that values extroverted traits. Conclusion. Quiet is a powerful and thought-provoking book that challenges societal assumptions about personality, success, and the value of introversion. Susan Cain's main message is that introverts are often the unrecognized drivers of creativity, innovation, and thoughtful leadership. She advocates for a more inclusive approach to success, one that embraces both introverted and extroverted qualities and recognizes the strengths of both personality types. Cain's work encourages introverts to embrace their natural tendencies and to recognize the power of quiet, solitude, and reflection. She also calls on society to create environments, both in education and work, that allow introverts to thrive. Ultimately, Quiet is a celebration of the quiet power of introverts and a call for a broader recognition of their value in a world that often overlooks them.